life. Why you want to know about my personal life, you nosy? Just kidding. I am genuinely grateful for anybody who shows an interest in me or my sad little life here. And I will say that this discussion is going to be much more serious than my normal kind of hobby talk when it comes to books and board games and other kind of mostly unplugged hobbies. So if that's not for you, then feel free to skip this and rejoin me with my next book or board game video. But for the rest of you, here's just kind of an update on where I am at the end of 2022, which has, well, really the past 3 years have been a living nightmare. As you will know if you've been following along with me for the past while, my wife left me in February of 2020, and since then it has been so hard. We started our legal separation process over a year ago, and that finally wrapped up towards the end of this year. It took over a year because even though I was determined to keep it as amicable and easy a process as possible, and we went through what's called a collaborative legal process, which means that we were basically doing our best to cooperate together to make everything work out. The financial end of things is really what held things up and made it drag out for over a year. And the reason is because if I wanted to stay in my house here, I had to come up with a few $100,000 to buy out my wife from her share of the equity of the home here. And being on a disability income, this was pretty much impossible. I spent over a year dealing with banks, financial institutions, mortgage agents, just every single thing I could think of, every single angle and strategy that I could come up with. I just was going at it over and over and just got the same answer over and over again. No, your income's too small. It can't lend you money. Can't give you a mortgage. And I was in terror of losing my house for two reasons. One, the most important reason was my kids have already been through an upheaval with the separation of their parents, and I didn't want to further traumatize them by losing the home that they've grown up in the neighborhood, and the friends that they are familiar with. And also, I did have this fear of becoming yet another homeless, mentally ill, disabled person with no hope of improvements in the future. So basically my house is the only thing of any value I own, and I was terrified of losing it. For basically the entire year and a bit of this process, I was living in a constant low-level panic attack, just a level of anxiety day and night for the past year and a while. It's just been absolutely through the roof. And like I said, I just couldn't make it happen no matter what I tried. And it was looking very, very bleak until one of my loved ones sent me a message that said, "Hey, I'll co-sign for you if you want." And I was like, what? Because I had previously asked the people in my life that could possibly help me out if anybody would be willing to co-sign. And the first time I had asked over a year ago, nobody was in a position to be able to do so. But this person's situation had changed, and they had approached me and said, I'm willing to be your co-signer. So with that behind me, then I could go back and say, hey, I have this support now. Can we make something happen? And sure enough, it did happen. And it was like a ton of bricks being lifted off my back. Just the most amazing thing. Now, my elation was somewhat short-lived, which I'll get to in a second, but if you're interested in how that was able to happen, maybe you're struggling with mortgages and home ownership and all that nonsense. Basically, what I went with was what's called a Manulife One line of credit, which is kind of an alternate to a mortgage in that it's essentially a great big line of credit where I've dumped several hundred thousands of dollars into this line of credit, and as long as I pay the monthly interest on that Manulife One account, there is no mandatory payments towards the principal of the loan or the kind of mortgagey type of accounts that it is. So essentially, if I keep up with the interest payments, then I won't be getting into even more debt, but I also won't be paying off the home, which, it's not ideal. But the hope is that with an asset that will appreciate in value over time, the housing market goes up and down a bit, but obviously steadily upwards. Even if I'm not paying it off, at least it is gaining value. And in the future, when it comes time to sell and eventually downsize when the kids are out on their own, then hopefully I'll have something to put towards a smaller home that I can better afford. I still wouldn't have been able to do all that without the help of a co-signer, but because I had that co-signer, I was able to get the Manulife One account and put all the house money into that, and then going forward, hopefully make interest payments. Now, here's where the wind really went out of my sails, is when the first full month of payments came due, and I saw just how much that interest payments is. In a nutshell, it turns out that the monthly cost of being in this house is going to be a full 70% of my disability income, which does not leave much to get by on a month-to-month basis, especially with 2 growing preteen boys. Actually, one's about to turn 13 very soon. So that was a bit of a hit. I figured it was going to be tough, did not realize it was going to be quite that bad. And so I thought, okay, if I don't want to take away anything from my boys, if I want to give them the best life I possibly can still, then it means I'm the one that's going to have to make the cuts here. I'm the one that's going to have to live on rice and pasta from now on and make my coffee at home, no more buying Tim Hortons coffees, and maybe go visit my friends even less than I already do because gas is so expensive, and all the little ways I can find to cut back and hopefully give my children the best opportunities they can in their lives. And it's a little depressing, a little stressful, but on the one hand, I'm a simple person. I'm happy to be home in my gilded cage now and reading my books and playing my board games, and hopefully I'll still be able to get out every so often to a $5 or $10 local punk show and get out and enjoy myself periodically. But I'm a simple person. I don't need a lot, so I'm sure I can get by okay. And also, it's just one of those situations where the man with no shoes was upset about his situation until he met the man with no feet. I mean, I've got a great house to live in. I've got wonderful boys. There's not much more that I need. That being said, I am even more grateful now to my Patreon supporters, because even a couple dollars per month, which is going to be nothing for most people, is something for me, especially now in my new situation. And in particular, with Joanna and Paul and his mom giving more than just a couple dollars a month, that's an even bigger deal for me. So that support really is helping me to carry through in a very practical way. Now, there are other just amazing ways where just out of the blue, something will happen and I'll go, wow, you folks out there who watch my videos are just the most amazing people. I've had a few instances in the past couple of years where I'll just go on my computer and discover that somebody has sent some money to my PayPal account with a nice little note saying they appreciate my videos. And I'm like, blown away by that. It's just so amazing. And just a couple weeks ago, somebody sent a bunch of money to my PayPal account. Basically, they saw my previous videos I've done about the game Dawn of Peacemakers, which is on my shelf up here. And the designers of that game have recently come out with a new game in the same world with the same creature characters called Lands of Galzir. And this viewer of mine sent me enough money to get the full deluxe edition of Lands of Galzir and have it shipped all the way from Europe. So this wonderful person is sending me this amazing game, which I no longer have the money to purchase games for myself. So that's incredible. And check out what I got just last night. My friend Mark, who I play Magic with every so often, his wife made me this amazing D&D tavern, which is truly one of the most incredible gifts I've ever received. She handmade every bit of this, and I'm absolutely floored. I'm really quite speechless by the generosity of somebody to put that much time into making this beautiful object for me. And so all of these things, having somebody who will co-sign for me, having viewers who will just send me these amazing, wonderful gifts, having a friend who will make something like this, and then all of you who just take the time to leave such wonderful comments for me in my videos, it just really, in the midst of everything I've been through over the past few years, really makes me know that I am supported. And I'm getting emotional here because you people are amazing and wonderful. And even though I've often felt so alone in all of this process, the truth is I'm not alone, and you folks are there watching my content, making it worthwhile to keep making that content. Without these videos, over the past year or so, I wouldn't have had any positive, constructive things to put my energy towards. I would have just spent all this time talking to financial institutions and digging up documents and going through this really, I don't know if it's melodramatic to say this, but it was really a traumatic experience going through the separation, the financial process. I felt afterwards very much the same as I felt when I've been through really horrible illness with the Crohn's for a long period of time. Yeah, so looking forward to next year then. I mean, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, not watching statistics on YouTube or chasing numbers, but making the type of videos that bring me enjoyment to make. Of course, like I said, I won't have money to buy new games, but I have tons of games on my shelf. I have more than enough to last me for years of fun. And if you watched my last book haul video, you'll see that throughout this year I bought quite a few books, so I've got plenty of reading material on my shelves to keep me occupied. I'm generally not into making goals for a new year. I just like to go with the flow and not put any pressure on myself in that way. So I don't have any specific book-related goals. I do have maybe one board game-related goal, and that is I would love to start a 5-player group with me and 4 other people where we meet on a regular basis to play first a game of Forgotten Waters, and then a game of Chaos in the Old World. Forgotten Waters is a game that I have not played yet. It looks like a super fun pirate game. Chaos in the Old World is an old favorite that I haven't played in years. That is this area control game with various monsters and factions, and both of these play great at 5 players apparently, and they are games that I would love to explore on a more regular basis. My main problem is I don't have 5 friends, or I don't have 4 other friends, and I'm not eager to invite somebody I don't know into that group, so I'm just trying to figure out how I might make that work. Other than that, I'm going to play 2023 by ear, and really more than anything just try to be the best dad I can possibly be. I want to wish you all the best for this holiday season. I want to thank you for being there with me, for taking an interest in me and my content. Leave me a comment below and let me know how your year has been and what you're looking forward to next year. I'm always happy to hear from you, and I'm always so grateful to you for giving me some of your very valuable time. Cheers. Hey, it's Josh. You know why I'm here. Sometimes you just need that friendly reminder to give a little thumb up, to subscribe to the channel, to share the video with somebody who would enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers. Just kidding. I am genuinely grateful. A little too enthusiastic there. It took over a year because, and we went through what's called a collaborative paying. So especially to Paul and Joanna and Osmondus, who are giving more than just, and in particular with Joe and Paul and Osmondus. Joe, who's, oh yeah. Deluxe edition last year, that throughout this year I've bought quite a, leave me a comment, let me know how your was. I'm always happy to hear from you, and I'm always so grateful for, I'm always so happy to hear from you, and I'm always so grateful for you taking the time. I'm always happy to hear from you, and I'm always so grateful that you, I'm always happy to hear from you, and I'm always so grateful to you for giving me some of your time. doing what I doing.